Hollow Knight, The Rise and Fall of Hallownest. Part 2. The Pale King rose to power, transforming mindless beasts into a thriving civilization. Yet, the rise of this new kingdom required the erasure of an old god, the Radiance, who retaliated with a plague known as the Infection. To save his people, the king created the Hollow Knight, a vessel of pure void to seal the ancient light away. Peace seemed certain, but the vessel possessed a fatal flaw, an emotional bond with its father. This imperfection now threatens to shatter the seal and bring about the ruin of Hallownest. Chapter 4. The Flaw in the Seal. The tragedy of the Hollow Knight lay in the very thing that was supposed to make it strong. It had been raised and trained by the Pale King. During this time, a flaw grew within the vessel. The Pale King raised it. He trained it. He cared for it. And in doing so, the Hollow Knight formed an attachment, an emotion, a single crack in purity. That was enough. It was not truly hollow. It had a mind, however small, and it loved the king. Because of this flaw, the shell eventually cracked. The Radiance, sensing the weakness, began to leak out. The infection returned with a vengeance, once again corrupting the minds and bodies of everyone in Hallownest. The great experiment had failed. The Pale King was desperate. He could not create a new vessel in time. Instead, he appointed 3 powerful bugs to act as a final safeguard. The Dreamers. First was Monomon the teacher. She was a being of science and foresight, a jellyfish-like scholar who presided over the archives. Unlike the king, she did not act out of blind hope. She understood the volatile nature of the infection. She realized that a permanent seal was a fantasy, and that change was inevitable. In a final act of wisdom, she entrusted her mind to her apprentice, Quirrell, leaving instructions that if the infection spread, the seal should be broken to allow for a new solution. She did not sleep to preserve the status quo. She slept to preserve the future. Second was Lurien the Watcher. He was the master of the City of Tears, the capital of Hallownest. Lurien's motivation was singular: devotion. He viewed the Pale King not just as a monarch, but as a divine savior. To Lurien, the king's will was absolute law. He abandoned his post, his butlers, and his city to enter the dream, acting as the eternal sentry. He slept out of blind loyalty, believing that to serve the king was the highest honor, even if it meant an endless nightmare. And finally, Hera the Beast. She was the Queen of Deepnest, a dark, fearsome domain that had long stood as Hallownest's rival. While the other dreamers gave themselves out of wisdom or loyalty, Hera dealt in the currency of power. Her people, the spiders, were wild and untamed, and they needed a future. She refused to die for the king's cause without a legacy. She demanded a child, a daughter, Hornet, born of both the royal line and the beast. The Pale King agreed to the union, and Hera entered the eternal stasis, trading her own eternity for the life of her child, ensuring that the lineage of Deepnest would survive even if the kingdom fell. The Dreamers slept, reinforcing the lock on the door, but they were merely holding back a flood. The infection continued to spread, turning the city into a graveyard. The grand design of the Pale King was failing. Chapter 5. The Ruin and the Return. The 3 dreamers entered an eternal stasis, Their purpose was to protect the Hollow Knight's slumber, reinforcing the seal from the dream realm. It was a last, desperate attempt to hold back the tide, but even the power of the dreamers could not stop the infection. The kingdom fell into ruin. The Pale King, his grand city crumbling, and his subjects turning into monsters, vanished. He, along with his entire court and palace, disappeared amidst the chaos, leaving behind only a tomb. It was not a hero seeking glory, nor a conqueror seeking land. It was a child of the void, returning home. The knight began its journey through the ruins of Hallownest, seeking answers to the mysteries of its own past, and perhaps a way to succeed where the Hollow Knight had failed. It discovers the truth. It is one of the discarded vessels, a sibling of the Hollow Knight, a child of the abyss, and now it must decide the fate of Hallownest. Will it replace the Hollow Knight and contain the Radiance once more? Will it break the cycle? Or will it confront the Radiance itself within the realm of dreams? The kingdom had fallen, but the cycle was far from over. And so, the dream of Hallownest finally ends, not with the triumphant shout of a kingdom saved, but with the quiet shuffling of dust. The Pale King's grand experiment failed. His kingdom, built on the theft of memories and the suppression of the old gods, has returned to the earth from which it rose. The Radiance is extinguished, consumed by the very void she sought to destroy. The infection, that burning rage, has cooled, leaving behind only empty shells and silence. Yet, in the silence, there is peace. The cycle is broken. The bugs that remain are free from the whispers of the light, free to carve their own small paths in the dirt. The price was terrible. The lives of thousands of vessels, the sacrifice of the dreamers. But the debt is finally paid. But while Hallownest sleeps, the world beyond its borders still turns. Hera the Beast is gone, her vigil ended, but her legacy lives on. Her daughter, Hornet, the protector of a dead city, now stands at the threshold of a new journey. She is no longer bound by the orders of a king, nor the duty to a fallen kingdom. Whispers speak of a distant land, a kingdom ruled by silk and song, where a new threat rises, a place where the hunter becomes the hunted.